How's everybody doing? I am Jim, and this bike you are looking at from the cockpit position is the Surface 604 Quad. Torque sensing bike, retro looking style, looking like kind of BMX bike, kind of the SE quad angle look. Fun looking style of bike, interesting set of components. I'm show you how this thing rides on the road right now. But first, let's take a quick look at the bike. Medium-large frame from Surface 604, airing quite on the large side with a really long effective top tube. Very wide handlebars, again 26 inches wide, give you a lot of stability coming down that double top tube. To the saddle that was actually quite comfortable to me. Surprisingly comfortable, really. 27.5 inch Maxxis tires give you plenty of traction. They're still pretty good on the paved surfaces. That Bafang hub motor back there, 500 watts in the rear, with that 11 to 36 tooth gold cassette. SRAM X5 derailleur, rack mounting point there on the rear dropout, and another one up at the top of your screen. Coming down that chainstay, that's a bit crowded. You got two disconnects and the derailleur cable, and no chain guard protector. Gold chain going up to that 38 tooth front chain ring. Kind of good looking gold pedals, back to that external bottom bracket. Again, that chainstay that's not protected and a little bit cluttered. With the Suntour forks that do a pretty good job on some light trails. Through axle on the bottom, which is a nice upgrade. Tektro Dorado hydraulic disc brakes. Good size 180 millimeter rotors down at the wheels. Again, that through axle on this side visible there with the hydraulic caliper. Come down to the battery key there for the 48 volt, 14 amp hour Samsung cells battery. Nice look at the front of the bike and the headlight. The wire management in here is kind of a weak point. It's just a couple small pieces of Velcro. Nicer wire management would really even clean up the look of the bike even further, in my opinion. That headlight does do a pretty good job, and here's a little bit of night footage to show that to you. Wow. We're going to come up here and start an assist level 0 with any e-bike. You can ride this thing when you're out of battery, though the truth be told, I really wouldn't want to. I'm riding pretty hard here at about 9 miles per hour. You do feel some, even though it's a 500 watt geared rear hub motor, those are supposed to have less rolling resistance when they're not being operated. You still feel it back there. You can definitely tell. But the benefit here, if you're riding an assist level 0, you still have throttle. Assist level 1 here. The beautiful thing about the torque sensor the Surface 604 is using, it's back on the rear dropout, it's sensing strain, but it's tuned in a way that you don't have to be straining. So right now I am just spinning my legs. I'm really not even putting any force down there. I'm still getting a little bit of assist. Now I can keep pushing and the assist caps out in effort, and then I kind of ride up past it. Assist level 2 here the situation is still the same. We're just shifting where our power amount and where it kind of stops helping as much is. And then you just kind of go along. It's a very gradual transition between speed limits with this torque sensor. Some bikes you jump from assist level, 2 to 3, and it feels like a big turbocharged jump. 3 to 4. Now I'm at 5. I mean, the just mostly spinning my legs speed is a little higher. It's probably a little around 15. I've noticed I kind of start to spin out in between the amount of effort and everything. Somewhere around 24, 25 miles per hour. I'm braking there. These Dorado hydraulic disc brakes have definitely an upgraded feel over some of the base level hydraulic disc brakes. They're not grabby to the same level that some are, but you have good feel and good modulation. I'll put on the screen some of my braking stats. This is really the most expensive bike I've tested to date, so some of those bikes that are on there are going to be that was very weird. Some of the bikes that are on the video are going to be ones that are not in the same price range. Just bear this in mind. This is more informational. I'm not making a direct comparison between those bikes. You do get a little powertrain kind of friction sound and a little hum from that Bafang rear motor. The Bafangs tend to be a little on the quieter end of the spectrum of geared hub motors, but you still hear it for sure. So if I was commuting on this bike, this would be kind of the speed I would be commuting at. Somewhere between 15 and 20 miles per hour probably. If you're on a path or bike laning, sometimes I'll kick over 20 miles per hour. Knowing that with this torque sensing bike, you are putting out a little more effort to achieve those speeds. So if you're not wanting the effort, then you might want to look at a cadence sensing bike versus torque sensing. The controls on these handlebars are nicely laid out. The grips are not locking, but they feel quite solid here. Kind of a token bell. That is what it is. Throttle here on the left. Keypad ease. This is all really nice and easy to reach. And the SRAM X5 shifter here is it's a thumb to shift up and shift down. So it's different than some of the shifters I've used, and it's taken me a little bit to get used to it, but now that I have, I see why people like it. It kind of keeps so you can keep more fingers on the bar potentially when you're riding. If you're on some trails, you need to use brake and shifting often. So riding at this speed is just a real easy speed to ride this. My heart rate's at 75, so slightly elevated over my resting heart rate, but I'm not pushing very hard. I'll get all up my effort level here in a second and you'll see where we're at. All right, we're gonna push up into assist level 5. I'm gonna show you one more time. This is a pretty quiet part of the bike path. I don't ride like this generally, but I'll show you again the top speed, and then the throttle on this bike is not limited quite the same way. So I just was able to throttle up above. And you see we have plenty of throttle, we have plenty of power. It's a 500 watt motor that Surface 604 says feels more like a 750 watt motor. I'm not gonna say I agree with that totally, but it does have, the Bafang motor has a good amount of torque compared to some of the other motor choices they could have made. And it does feel peppy in acceleration. I'll put those acceleration stats on the screen. But that's throttle only for comparability's sake. And I'm going to do this hill time and throttle away again, all for comparability's sake. So the take up of the torque sensor is very quick, nearly instantaneously. There's a small amount of delay on the backside, and I think that's part of the reason why it's smooth. I think if the torque sensor is tuned too finely, it drops out and it can lead to a jerky, unpleasant feeling, which is really the opposite of what you're wanting with a torque sensor. You're wanting that riding experience when you can set it in assist level and you can just enjoy riding. All right, the old banister hill here. We're gonna see how it climbs it. 84% battery, 3, 2, 1. It does feel pretty strong. The pull's pretty good there in the middle part of the hill. Stop. Yeah, that felt good. So I'm going to lock out the suspension there, easy to reach. You can see how I'm going front brake only, how that doesn't dive too much. But then if I open it back up, the Suntour front suspension is totally adequate. It's not like such a great suspension that you're gonna, be blown away by its off-road ability, but it does a good job. I mean, it works good for path riding, and then you could lock it out if you need to. I don't know why you would. If you're going at high speed, it's nice to have that warning to take the bump out of your arms and hands. On your left. So the quad retails for $25.99. Obviously that is not cheap. That is that's more expensive than a lot of the budget direct buy bikes, but you're still less than a bike shop bike typically. And with most bike shop bikes made by big name manufacturers, you don't get this. You don't get the throttle most times. So you have to weigh the components, the electronics, if it feels right for you in that price range. To me, the torque sensor feels quite good. My son really enjoys it. It's the e-bike he's enjoyed more than any other so far. Fit-wise, that could be a little problematic for some. This very long top tube, approaching 26 inches. Like my arms are extended. I'm kind of like a T-Rex. I got short arms and long legs. So I'm a bit of a fit exception. So I tend to buy a smaller frame and adjust the fit with an adjustable stem risers, longer seat post, all those things that I know I need anyway. So I wish that the large frames weren't so large on some of these bikes. So another key thing you're going to want to get from me, I would think, is range. I've done a number of range tests with this. I'll summarize those on the screen. The thing that's been really impressive to me about this particular bike is the efficiency. Like under 15 watt hours per mile. But what does efficiency mean for you? It means you can get more range out of less battery. Potentially less weight. This bike is 60 pounds with this 48 volt 14 amp hour Samsung cell battery. The other battery option is 48 volts 20 amp hours. So you're getting more capacity, more range at the expense of more weight. I have not personally seen that battery to know what that weight difference is. I'd expect it to be a few pounds, not hugely significant. The weight of this bike to me is pushing the boundary of impacting its off-road utility. A heavy bike, it's harder to muscle around on trails, so you have to just kind of like plow, and that's not always the safest way to ride trails, and it kind of limits the kind of trails you can ride. Hey Jim, so here, I just said hey to myself, that's cool. So I'm just finishing my look, just look through the Surface 604 quad and give you a feel for riding on the road. I'm going to do a second video showing some trail riding, so this video doesn't get too obnoxiously long. So thanks again for joining me on this look at the initial look of the quad from Surface 604. If you like this, have experience with the quad, leave a comment down below. I try to answer everything I can, and if not, I'll try to point you in the right direction. Thumbs up, subscribe. I look to be doing a lot more bike videos coming soon, so that's kind of where I'll be doing a little more of my focus in the near future. So see you then. In the meantime, ride, be safe, and say hi to the geese.
Catch the wave.